Ref. Actually got the ball. Good afternoon, Spurs fans worldwide, and welcome back to the Irish Hotspur with your boys Dave and Jack, and special guests today, Dermo and Eugene, as we build up and preview today's game down on the South Coast at the Vitality Stadium against Bournemouth. And hopefully this could be the cherry on top, no pun intended, to maybe what has been a bit of an up and down week. And look, someone put it brilliantly in the comments. Spurs make it hard to love them sometimes, but we do. And that's why we're all back here looking amongst each other for optimism heading into today's game. But look, as we know with Tottenham, sometimes when our back is against the wall and nobody expects us to turn up, we do. Just like we did against Man City, Aston Villa, Man United. So I wouldn't put it beyond the realms of impossibility for Tottenham to pull one out of the bag today. But we've also seen the very worst of Tottenham, and that's why we're all coming into this a little bit apprehensive. But look, let's wait and see how the evening unfolds. We'll go around the panel, see how they are, tell everybody everything they need to know heading into this in terms of injury news and shit like that, where you can watch the game. Then we'll get into the comments, find out who's with us, and then we're going to crack on because we have a lot to talk about, because there's been a lot made about Son and Johnson this week, which we'll have to debate a little bit about. Werner actually features prominently on the match day image. Does that mean he's going to start today? I think that would definitely cause some uproar. Someone says we might get our pants pulled down if Werner plays. We might. But Jack, how are you, sir?
Doing okay. Doing the best I can. I'm just these sort of games I think are going to be really tough for me to get any sort of clue into, because at Bournemouth are technically one of those, let's say, supposed to be weaker teams, but in fact they really aren't. You know, they've taken a lot of scalps this season, and they're actually a lot trickier than people might expect. And so I wonder what sort of Spurs we're going to get. Are we going to get the Man City Spurs, or we're going to get the Ipswich Town Spurs today? So looking forward to it, Dave. But yeah, a little nervous ahead of this one, but we do have a good record there, so maybe we'll bounce back as we tend to do.
Well, look, I'm sure Dermot's going to enlighten us with the record here to bring a bit of a, or try and bring a bit of a joke. Dermot, hit us with it. Hit us with the facts, my man.
Man, look, it's 10 wins out of the last 14 up there. So, of course, we're going to go up there and win. What's all this negativity about? Jesus, come on, lads. It's Tottenham. We can beat anyone when we want to. Just don't put us up against Ipswich or Crystal Palace. Apart from that, we'd be fine. But yeah, I'm looking forward to tonight. I can't wait. I cannot wait. Football's on 2 days a week. What more can you not like about it? You know, moan and groan, it's Spurs. Come on, let's get in there.
I think we need to take Dermot's bag of fizzy cherries off him. The Haribo version, need to take them off him. But as you can see, he's an absolutely fine fettle. And look, that's what we love. When we're all doom and gloom, Dermot is the most optimistic, and that's why we absolutely love him. And then last but not least, down onto Eugene. Back again, Eugene. Love the commitment today, by the way. Sort of, not sure what to say. I don't want to get you in trouble, but you are dipping in and out of work. But how are you keeping, my man?
Hopefully nobody's watching. But I'm doing well. I wish I was as enthusiastic as Dermo. I'm in the Jack camp.
We all do.
I'm nervous. This is becoming a bit like a job, you know. Sometimes I'm, optimistic. I'm hoping we're going to do well. I'm hoping we'll play up to our potential. But in my mind, I can already see how the game might play out with Semenyo and so forth. So, but I'm trying to be optimistic.
Look, I think many people are with you, Eugene. They're probably tuning in, trying to find some optimism off you at some point today. But I think everybody's absolutely feeling the way you are, And the reality is, it goes back to what Jack said, right? We just do not know what Tottenham team is going to turn up or what to expect, and that's why there's such a divisive nature around Tottenham in terms of manager, squad players, etc., because everyone's up and down right now. But look, let's give everybody everything they need to know, and then let's crack on. So, starting off with when it wants to come up and stop making a mug of me, here we are. We are playing down at the Vitality Stadium. Of course, kickoff is at 8:15 p.m. Your boys Dave and Jack will be doing our watch along from 7:45 p.m. So make sure you tune in. Referee is Simon Hooper. Don't know why.
Maybe, sorry, Dave, there might be a delay. Simon Hooper, I was just saying, yes, he's our favorite referee, by the way. He's been very generous to Tottenham in the past, and so it might be our first time with Simon Hooper this year. So our beloved lost love, Simon Hooper, we're back with him. Maybe it's a good sign.
Well, look, if all else fails, bring out the referee that loves Tottenham Hotspur, one of the only ones in there, Pogmal, so why not? In the VAR room, it is John Brooks. Hopefully he doesn't commit a crime tonight, and we're not calling him John Crooks by the end of the game. If you want to watch the game in the UK, it's on Amazon, and I actually believe in Ireland, if anyone has Premier Sports TV, we're actually showing the game for once. And then in the USA, it's on NBC Sports, and in Australia, it is on Optus Sports. And then we're going to head into the injury news. Before Tottenham, of course, Van de Beek still out injured, Odegaard still out injured, Richarlison out. Them two will be out long term. Romero still out, expected to be back in training tomorrow. So I'm pretty sure we'll get an update whether he's going to be available for Chelsea or not. With Mikey Moore still recovering, Postecoglou had a lot worse to say on him. Maybe do not expect to see him until some point in the new year. Might have to drop down a level with the under-21s to start playing some games. Maybe was the suggestion. And then Bentancur, of course, suspended, and Vicario out. For Bournemouth, Alex Scott is out, Julian Arojo and Sinisterra is out as well, but they still have plenty of threats on the pitch to cause Tottenham problems. Let's get into the chat. Let's do just a quick through because I am so far behind, so I do apologise, guys. But Dermot has been kind enough to give out 2 Irish Hotspur memberships. It is the season of giving. Jack, who have they gone to? And big up, Dermot.
To Shane Fenlon and then to Michael G. Kelly. Really appreciate you, Dermatron. Thank you, sir. Please, everybody, take advantage. I feel like we haven't had that many debuts, despite all the new people in the fan show category. I'd like to see some more fan cams. Like to see some more debuts, please. Thanks to Dermatron's generosity. You know, Peter's gifted them out. You know, Davy Shire does. You know, Edward does. You know, and lots of people do. So would actually love to see some people take advantage of it and make some debuts.
Big up, Dermot. Really appreciate it. Guys, make sure you get in the chat and thank Dermatron for that. Big up, Adrian. Spurs diehards. Hopefully you're keeping well, sir. We've also got We Are Spurs TV. The app I use to stream EPL games isn't showing the game live. It's showing it tomorrow at 5 p.m. I mean, they're a whole 24 hours behind. These companies are ridiculous. Look, it is what it is. You know, I'm pretty sure if you ask around, you know, someone will give you a stream, my man, to be able to watch it. Big up, Dan. Hopefully you're keeping well. My left wing guru, my absolute savior in FIFA Pro clubs. Me and him just click down that side. We've also got MV Joker Davies. By the way, me and Jack clicked last night. The old Niall Quinn, Robbie Keane combination. Eddie says, I won't be able to watch the game, so hopefully we win. Come on, you Spurs. Well, yeah, that's because you're prioritizing baseball this week, Eddie. You know, not good whatsoever. We've also got Capo says, can't see you win. But Spurs make it hard to love them, but sometimes I do. Absolutely spot on. We've got Phil Coyce. Big up, Phil. Hopefully you're keeping well. I'm not working tonight, so you can watch the game. Says, come on, you Lily Whites. Come on, you Spurs. 6-pointer this one. Cannot afford to lose this one with Chelsea up next. Look, 100%. And look, I just have a feeling if we don't win today and you get good beating or you're played off the park by Chelsea, we're entering very sort of treacherous times, I feel. So I think you're right. This is an absolute 6-pointer today. We have also got J-Ham in the house. We are going to get our pants pulled down. I hope not. So make sure everybody, you zip them up or tie them by the tassels so they don't get pulled down tonight. Big up Finn Rickwood. Good to see you. We also have Limpy in the house. Hello, lads. Hopefully you're keeping well. The Big D says, big up Dave, Jack, and chat. Unfortunately, I have to bring the kids to see Santa later, so I'm going to miss the game. But on a positive side, most games I don't want Spurs win. Come on, you Spurs. Well, look, first of all, that's what Christmas is all about, my man, making memories with the family. And look, to be honest, rather than take the chance of Tottenham upsetting your night, sometimes you are better off just taking yourself away from it, go and enjoy yourself and check the result after. And look, hopefully it's a positive one for you. And by the way, I really appreciate the comment underneath the video I was on last word on Spurs, my man, the other night. Really appreciate it. Very calm words of you. And look, you're a bit like Jack, by the way. I don't know if anybody's noticed a trend, but when Jack isn't here for the pre-match build-ups, we don't win. So I think we need to start getting a campaign hashtag
Simon
make sure
Hooper.
Jack's there.
Simon Hooper, me on the pre-match build-ups. We're trying to engage all the good luck charms that we can. And
what a combo. We also have Wembley 1 says, evening everyone. No doubt the squad will still be shattered physically and mentally after their exhaustions last Sunday. Mid-table mediocrity is here. Look, I think many people feel that way. Wembley 1. Let's see if we can pull anything out of the bag tonight. Faz Radfar 4-1 Spurs. Big up my favorite Spurs channel. Hope you're all keeping well. I'm back with the 4-1 mode. We noticed that last night, my man, on the debate show. Big yourself up, Faz. We've got Daddy Bibby in the house. Even all, come on, you Spurs. Big up, my man. We also have Shushi in the house. Says, big up, chat. Great to see you. Danny Darko's with us. Big up, Dave, Jack. Lads and ladies, come on, you Spurs. I'm glad to see you're including everyone there, my man. It's the year of inclusivity. We've got Tyler in the house. Come on, you Spurs. How's everyone's doing? Big up Eugene, Dermot, Jack, and Dave. Big yourself up, lad. Big up, Big T. Hopefully you're keeping well. A bit nervous last night about today's game. Let me know if you're feeling any better today, Tyler. Tequila 316. Big up, Jacko, Dave, Legend, Dermot, and dude on the bottom left. It's Eugene, my man. He's another legend. So big him up as well. We also have Nick Carey. Hello, all. I'm confident tonight. We will be okay. Actually, I don't have a clue. I think we're all feeling that, my man. Big yourself up. We have SOF in the house as well. So Spurs need to win tonight. Can't drop points in 3 straight games. I have no confidence Spurs get anything against Chelsea. Look, I do think a win is important tonight. We all know our record against Chelsea, right? Even when they've been at their worst, we still have a poor enough record against them. Wins we find hard to come by, so 3 points is important. And then it does set up a mouth-watering tie at the weekend. Paolo Marotti, how's it going, everyone? Good to see you, Paolo. Hopefully you're keeping well. We also have Ross in the house. Ross Pearlstone, good afternoon, lads. Great to see you, Rossy boy. Tony Austin in the house. Great to see you, my man. Along with Ryan Garcia, Paul Vanden as well. Great to see you, my man. Hopefully you're keeping well. And the family, Gabrielle 1, big up Irish, and Jack, no clue on how we'll do, but come on, you Spurs, none of us do. Big up Kaylee as well, great to see you in the house. San Antonio Hotspur, good to see you, along with Woodsy Hotspur, Wayne Bonner as well in the house. What's the injury list? Haven't got to lace my boots up and show these young whippersnappers how it's done. Look, I think we're getting to that point, to be brutally honest with you, Wayne. So if I was you, I'd start hitting the Hackney Marshes right now and start getting some laps in, my man, if I were you. Big up, Wayne. Good to see you in the house. Hasn't improved whatsoever.
Have your brother drive you over to the stadium.
Yeah, I think you'd probably send out a taxi to you at this point, just so you don't get injured on the walk to the stadium. We also have Jimmy Hotspur says, what's wrong with He's only a young man. Look, apparently he's got a virus. You can only take the club's word by it, right? And apparently it's just going to take him a little while to recover. Outside of that, I don't really know what to say, to be honest. That's what's out there, my man. We also have Eltel Cockerell. Good afternoon, my man. Big up, Jose. Hopefully you're keeping well. And great. Guess who's back on the last or in the previous channel predictions. And then we also have Boris in the house. Know us, we either win by 4 goals or lose by 1 goal. Well, look, let's wait and see. Then we'll take this from King Huddle and crack on. Good evening. Instinctively, I see us as a 3-1 or 3-2 loss, but we all know that our fears and anxieties don't always accord with reality. Come on, you Spurs. I think that perfectly sums up how we're all feeling that. And big up DJ Samuel. Hopefully you are keeping well, sir. But look, let's crack onto it, Jack. Straight onto you. Bournemouth are 13th in the Premier League table, just 2 points behind Tottenham. With Bournemouth just 2 points behind us, does this game feel like a must-win to reignite our season, especially with Chelsea coming up on the weekend, right?
Yeah, I mean, sadly, yes, it does feel that way. Like I've said 1,000 times in the past 48 hours or so, I have a lot of sympathy for Ange Postecoglou in the situation that he's in right now. I have a lot of sympathy for the players. Like, we have basically our whole spine ripped out of the team, from, a million players up front being injured, to Bentancur not being able to play in these Premier League games, to also guys like Kulusevski who are pushed to their absolute limits when it comes to the red zones and energy levels. He's at his absolute limit. You also look at even, the defenders being out for this game, goalkeeper being out. Spurs are in a really tough position where I would show a lot of sympathy. That being said, this whole season has just been up and down, back and forth, really high spells, really low spells. And it does feel like Spurs, in order to maybe not really slip during this December period, because there are going to be so many games, back and forth and just all the time, that you do probably want to pick up an early win or two just to get that feeling and that taste of winning, and also get that confidence from it. I don't expect them to have a terrific record from this December month. I am anticipating it will be difficult, but you would probably think that a real triumph would be to just get some early wins and then, see what you can do from there. Of course, we're looking forward to the cup game later on with Man United, but I think you're right, Dave. I think sadly, this is an important game to try to gather some type of confidence and momentum. And it's more so to not, go into the Chelsea game, basically just expecting a hiding, I guess, because if we go there kind of expecting a hiding, we probably will get one. And then who's to know how the rest of the December goes from there. So it's sadly, yes, even though I have a lot of sympathy for our situation.
No, look, I think everybody sort of empathizes with the injury situation, of course, and I think it's naive to not recognise that it does hamper you. Look at Man City, so far off the standards they usually are. Arsenal for a while were up and down when they had injury crisis. Jurgen Klopp suffered last season because of it. But we do have to start trying to show resilience through these injury crises. We're not the only team that gets them, and we can't keep letting them derail our seasons like we have done in years gone by. When you look at the situation around Tottenham Hotspur right now, a lot of the pundits are talking about Ange Postecoglou and a lot of the fans. And look, one thing fans do not like is definitely losing to your rivals. And if we don't pick up 3 points heading into that Chelsea game, I think there's going to be many more people going for Ange Postecoglou's head. So I think, if the squad and Ange Postecoglou want to do themselves any favours, I think they have to go out and win today. I actually look back at it as that Newcastle game that we had before that run of Arsenal, Chelsea, City, Liverpool and all that last season, where we needed to go in that and pick up a victory, a morale-boosting victory, giving you confidence heading into them games. And we got absolutely slapped up. And then results, we couldn't claw back against the bigger teams. When you look at games we've got coming up, we've got Chelsea, you have Rangers coming up, you've got Liverpool, you've got Man United, Newcastle thrown in there, Forest, then you've got Arsenal just off the back of the January break as well. So, I do think this is similar to last season. I do think we need that morale-boosting victory. Dermot, down to you. Bournemouth have claimed victories over Man City and Arsenal at the Vitality Stadium this season, highlighting their strong home form. So they're no mugs. And Spurs are inconsistent and in the midst of an injury crisis, making this a very tough fixture for Tottenham Hotspur. How crucial is it for the team to rise to the challenge and show resilience in this match, avoiding the attempt? Because we can't keep reverting back to the temptation, Dermo, of using external factors like the injury crisis and that as an excuse for not securing necessary results like we did against Fulham at the weekend. It's no longer good enough. We have to show resilience to prevent us from sliding down the table.
Yeah, we can't keep using excuses. You're spot on with that. And it is important we get a win tonight. Look, all joking aside, Bournemouth is not going to be easy. They've got good home form this season. As you said, they've beaten Man City and they've beaten Arsenal there. And we can't even claim to have done that in one season. So it is not going to be difficult, but I just got this feeling. I think we've reached rock bottom with Fulham, and I feel the only way now is up. And I feel a lot of players will owe us a performance tonight. A lot of players didn't play well on Sunday for whatever reason, and they owe us a performance. So I think tonight, any player has any self-respect or any self-pride in himself will want to put tonight's result right, to put Sunday's game right, if you know what I mean. But yeah, it's not an easy place. But look, we all look to this game with hope and optimism. We are going to win. You can't go into a game thinking, oh, we're going to lose because of X, Y, and Z. You got to go into this. 3 points are on the table. Gets to rock that league, gets a bit of a gap between us and Bournemouth, and puts us closer to top 4. And we just got to take every game at a time, especially with Chelsea coming up on Sunday, which is not easy, by the way. So, tonight, let's take care of tonight. And I think that should be the message. Let's take care of tonight, and then Sunday we'll look at that tomorrow or the next day. But let's do the business tonight. But it's not going to be easy. No, it's not.
No, it's definitely not. And look, we can't keep using that as an excuse for our season's tailing off in the Premier League. It's not good enough. We have to stand up and show resilience and try and get results across the board by hook or by crook. You've got to find some way of doing it. But Eugene, is it fair to say, look, I know Ange in and Ange out is very divisive, and I actually don't want to get into that today, to be quite honest with you. But is it fair to say and fair to recognize that if we don't pick up 3 points tonight, heading into that Chelsea game, there's a lot of pressure on the manager, right? Despite someone like me thinking that not everything going on is his problems.
Oh, for sure. And you know me, I'm Ange. I've been defending Ange all year. Regardless of the next few results, I'll still be in the same camp. I want Ange to finish this whole season. But we know how the board operates. Regardless of success in the Cups, if we keep falling down the table in the league, it's going to be an issue. And as far as kind of to touch on what Jack and Dormo, what we're talking about, yes, we do have injuries. Yes, it's an issue. We have a thin squad, but that's not an excuse for us not to be able to beat a Roma and Fulham, right? And Ipswich. if we would have lost to City and Villa and would lose to Chelsea, I'd get it. You know what, thin squad injuries, but losing to smaller teams is not an excuse. And I've been going in on the players; they're not showing the passion. But I'm also looking for Ange to adapt. For example, in the Fulham game, if we don't have Solanke and Kulu, it's suicidal to play high press with Son, Timo, and Johnson, right? And Madison. So things like that, I want Ange to adapt. And I want to see what the lineup is today. And I want to see Ange make some tweaks to help us win games. But then ultimately the players need to have some self-respect and step up as well. So it's on both, it's the players and on Ange. But if we do keep dropping points, it's going to be an issue.
No, 100%. It's definitely an issue. But look, you also mentioned players need to step up. So what players need to step up for Spurs to ensure we take all 3 points? Are there players who haven't really been meeting the expectations right now, maybe letting Ange Postecoglou down, who could actually step up in games if they're at their normal levels and make massive differences?
Yeah, I mean, they're two different camps in my mind. For example, Sani hasn't been great, but we've seen him be great before. So now I just think he's getting older, his legs are gone. If we use him wisely, if he gets enough rest, he can give us those moments. My biggest issue is with Madison and Bissouma, with Madison especially, right? He steps up against City, plays well in big games and smaller games when we need him. When we play against the low block and we need somebody to pick the lock, he's MIA. So I'm losing with him. We need him to step up. Same thing with Bissouma. He has one great game and then another game he's missing. So I feel like those two are the key for us. We need our number 10 and number 6 to have good games against every single team. Otherwise, we're going to have issues against stronger competition and against weaker competition. So.
Do you know what? I definitely agree with you in terms of one player there, Eugene, is Bissouma. I think we all agree on Madison, to a degree. And look, some people called me crazy last week saying, did he just put it in to celebrate his birthday and stay out of the headlines? Well, yeah, I think he must still be out celebrating. We'll have to put on a wanted poster for him. He's gone missing. But is Bissouma actually, I think the guy vacates that number 6 and actually leaves too much space in there a lot of the times, especially when he's in possession, which when he gives it away as much as he does, it then becomes a problem because he leaves that space then open for teams to play in. And I do think he needs to play a much more disciplined role like he did against Manchester City, where he actually didn't really vacate. He just stood in front of Dragusin and Davies more or less all game and swept up anything that came in there, making himself a nuisance. So he really needs to have a disciplined game. Just take a few comments and then we're going to get to talking a bit around team selection and some controversy around some of our players this season. We have Kate Rixham in the house. David, boys, big up. I'm worried about this game up and down. We're all worried about that, Kate. But look, hopefully we can get the win today. We've got Jack Bloom 2024. Hey, Spurs fans, big up, Jack. Hopefully you're keeping well. King Hoddle says it's not a must game for me. We have beaten City and drawn to Fulham. We haven't lost our last 2 games. And look, fairness, I think Dermot's probably, of that point of view, that we're 3 games on the bounce without losing. That's one way of looking at it. But I would say when you look at the Roma game, Fulham game, we were in the ascendancy in both games and threw it away. So that is also concerning a little bit. You got to stop throwing them games away. If you're going to give yourself, the lead that you need in both games against a team like Fulham and Roma and then throw it away, it's absolutely criminal. And then big up Alan Glaber as well. Hopefully you're keeping well. What part of the world are you watching in from? I was from behind my man. Big yourself up. Good to see you in the house. But look, let's keep it moving. Let's get in to start talking about players, guys. Ben Davies, and then I do want to get into the midfield and that forward line. But he is set to make his 300th Premier League appearance today. Is Davies underrated as a player given his longevity and consistency at Tottenham? I already know your answer, Jack, so I'll go to Dermot.
Look, I think Ben Davies is a bit of an unknown quantity. What I mean by that is that Ben Davies, right, is for the club, he's a fantastic asset to have for all the off-club stuff he does. He's he's not the greatest footballer in the world, but he's very dependable for some reason. And okay, he's made mistakes. He was part of that culture under Nuno, under Mourinho, under Conte. But to be fair to him, I think we always slag him off with him and Dyer and Sanchez. But if you look at him out of them three, he was the better defender out of them two, to be fair. He always tried. This season, if it wasn't for him at Coventry, we would have been out. He played well on Sunday, only for 2 passes. Jack made that point on Sunday. So Ben Davies deserves a lot of credit for being a model professional, I think, as well. He shows the example to the youngsters how to prepare yourself for a game. Don't go out partying. He's very much a professional where he leads by example. And maybe he's not a leader in that way, but he's a leader in many ways to show the youngsters how to look after yourselves. What do you do? And on the pitch, he has been bringing Rudu along with him, and you can see him through games, talking to him, advising him, you need to get into that position, you need to cover that man. And I feel we're seeing the best now of Ben Davies, and maybe players are get better with age. He's like a wine. He's maturing with age, and maybe Ben Davies is probably what we need in that back four right now. I mean, we wouldn't have said that 3 years ago, but to be fair to him, this season and last season when he was called upon, he was there. He was dependable. Not the greatest player in the world, not the greatest technical player in the world, but somebody that gives 100%, leads by example. Okay, he was part of the group that got rid of Nuno, which I think was no big loss anyway. So I think he done well on that, and fair play to him. The Garden Gnome was put into retirement. I think apart from that, I think he's a lot better than Davies, Dyer and Sanchez was. And I think we need to see him now. I think, I think Ben Davies deserves another year. I think even if it's to look after, to go on the coaching side, to coach the youngsters and show them this is what you do, and this is how you do it, and this is how you be a professional, and use them on the outside the area of football for Tottenham. So, I think Ben Davies deserves all the credit he's getting at the moment, personally.
No, look, fair enough. And you know what? When I reflect on it, I was harsh on him over the 3-4 year sort of period, but I would argue rightly so with what I was seeing on the pitch from Ben Davies. But in credit to him, under Postecoglou, he's been absolutely brilliant when called upon, and he's done a really good job when called upon the large of it. And when I actually look back at his best sort of times at Tottenham, weirdly enough, they've actually been in attacking systems under Pochettino and under Postecoglou. Every other system while he's been here hasn't actually worked out for him. Look, I do find it hard to forgive him in a sense for going up to Daniel Levy and sort of going behind Nuno's back and end up being the one that sort of rallied the troops to get him sacked. I did not like that. I don't like that from any player. I don't think any player should really have that sort of power. But Eugene, I think he's been here, 10, 11 years now. I mean, for you, where does he rank against other long-serving Spurs players in terms of his contributions and impact?
That's an interesting one. I think how fans feel about Davies is correlated with how many matches he starts, right? If he starts for us for an extended period of time, then all his faults are more visible and all the fans get on him. But if he gives us some spot starts, I think fans like him more, and I'm in the same boat. I feel like having a player like him in the club is valuable. Like Milner, right? Henderson, these players who might not be the best players as they get older, but they're valuable and they bring valuable contribution as far as kind of instilling the club identity into the youngsters and being that assistant coach, both on the pitch and in the dressing room. So I have no issues with him staying on. As far as where he ranks, I mean, I was a Hugo fan until that game in Newcastle. So I think Davies has to be up there. I don't know all the history going back multiple decades, but as far as since I've been a fan of the Spurs, he has to be up there just by default.
I guess kind of on Davies, like I don't even know really where I stand with him after this season, because it feels like he could finish off on a real high. He could, in a way, kind of shut up a lot of people like myself who have criticized him heavily. And I feel like his time at Spurs, like, has for a while kind of, to be honest, been coming to an end. It feels like we could do better than him. I understand that he's a club man. I understand that he's very well liked around the team and everything like that. But for the most part, I do feel like we're dipping into the best version of Ben Davies that we can possibly get right now. I mean, he's absolutely playing out of his skin. He's basically been the best center back of any of the center backs right now. He's playing that well, but are we really going to say that that's going to happen next season or beyond? I'm not too sure. Like, that's my worry there. And if we again find ourselves into another injury like situation where we have to lean on Ben Davies, maybe a lot of us will go into it optimistic, but who's to say he ends up maybe not playing to this sort of level again? And, we end up kind of paying the price for not giving an opportunity to some of the many other center backs that we have coming through, like an Ashley Phillips, like a Vuskovic, like, even an Alfie Dorrington who can play on the left side. You can also even try to dip into the transfer market again. I'm not sure if we even necessarily need to. I think we need to maybe look more at a left back. But the last thing I'll say on Davies is that he's certainly distancing himself from that, classic grouping, which just sort of rolled itself off the tongue of Sanchez, Dyer, Davies, just rolled off the tongue. And I do feel like he's kind of in this season, maybe making a statement, like, sort of performance, to maybe say that he is better than what those guys might have been. And perhaps they kind of dragged him down. And some people have made the case that he plays a lot better when he is surrounded by better players, as a lot of players tend to, but he's been one of the most reliable guys this season. And what's kind of disappointing, Dave, is back to one of your original questions, when it comes to people who need to step up, that's kind of the frustrating thing, is people like Ben Davies have actually been the guys who have really stepped up this season. And I don't know if that should be the case. You would think it should be other guys that you feel like have really stepped up. It should be the Madisons. It should be the Sonnies. At the moment, Sonny's not necessarily stepping up. You look at other players in the team that need to probably take a bit more onus, take more responsibility. And weirdly, Ben Davies has actually been that one. So, fair play to the guy, but that shouldn't even be the case, in my opinion. Sorry for the rabbit hole rant on Davies.
No, look, when it comes to Davies, look, everybody's entitled to their opinion. I still maintain, look, I'm fair. Jono says flip-flop fans. I remember our fans wanted him out 4 years ago. Look, do I think he should stay beyond this season? No, I still maintain that. I think, we shouldn't really extend his contract, and that, we should look to move on from Ben Davies. Will I give him credit for how he's performed this season? Yes, I will, because he's performed well above my expectations of the guy. So credit where credit's due. But I still float the question out there. Was he in the comfort zone then the last 2-3 years? Because he wasn't absolutely great. Now that his contract is coming up and he's playing for a future, all of a sudden we're seeing these level of performances. So I'm weary of jumping on the bandwagon and saying, yeah, give him a contract just for cover and stuff like that. Because, where was it the last couple of years when you weren't fighting for your future is maybe what I'm trying to get across. I know some people are going to disagree with me on that, but look, each to their own. You're more than welcome to. And we've got Moondog here. Big up Moondog. Says, big up, lads. We need a win tonight. Come on, you Spurs. Absolutely. We need a massive win tonight, Moondog. A morale boosting. I was saying earlier on, Moondog, that I think it's similar to that run we had last year when we had Newcastle just before we went on the run against the likes of your Arsenals, Chelsea's, United's, Liverpool's, teams like that. I think this is similar when you look at some of our upcoming fixtures, and I think this is one that we really need to put 3 points on the board today, my man. Big yourself up. Really appreciate the support, Moondog. And by the way, guys, anyone else, if you want to get your questions in or whatever, feel free to throw support to the channel if you do enjoy it. Feel free to smash a like, throw in a super chat, throw in questions, grab yourself memberships, all that sort of good stuff. Let's keep it moving though, guys, because I do want to talk a little bit about the fullback. And guys in the comments and everybody watching at home, please give us your thoughts, because it is a very sort of controversial topic since the Fulham game. Pedro Porro was clearly fatigued against Fulham, which led to him putting in a below-par performance. And he has played the most minutes in the squad this season. And I think he was up there in terms of the top 2 or 3 who played the most minutes in the squad last season. So it's clear that Postecoglou really trusts him. Jack, we'll start with you. Do you think he will start again tonight? Or do you think Postecoglou has to make a change for the greater good of the team and give someone like Spence or Gray an opportunity to prove their worth?
I have a strange feeling he's just going to continue to lean on Porro and continue to play him. I do feel like, to your other question, that he should bring in Spence. I think it's kind of almost insulting to Spence once again at this point that he hasn't used him in any regard, even just to relieve Porro in the last 20, 30 minutes, like I brought up to, I think you and Johnny, I think the other day, and Sam as well, that, you see other managers in the past that have, often, rotated fullbacks, during the game because they know that, there's a very high likelihood that they can tire, that they can start to slack off kind of more towards the end. And you can bring in someone who offers something a little bit different, but is going to still bring energy levels. And I think Jed Spence also was one of the best players from our preseason, I recall as well. Saved, the term is he saved Postecoglou's job, in the Coventry City game. Just feel really bad for the guy. And I do think that he deserves an opportunity tonight. Will Ange give it to him? I'm not too sure, really, to be honest. I don't think he will. And it's one of those things, Dave, where it's something I will criticize Ange for, as much as I'm very much Ange in, as much as I'm very much in support of Ange. And it's kind of similar to the Antonio Conte time, where a lot of people wanted to sack Conte basically because of the Jet Spence situation, that arose. And I think something similar is almost sparking here with Ange, that, people are getting really fed up that Jet Spence once again is just not being played. And I just feel really bad for Jet Spence. And, I don't know. It's not something that I'm really going to criticize Ange too much over, because it's not something that I think really cuts that deep, really, at the end of the day. But I do feel like it has been hindering us, his lack of use of Jed Spence this season.
No, I think definitely. Look, it came back to bite us against Fulham, right? Porro was clearly struggling to get out that side and, try and quell any sort of pressure that was coming down that side. And ultimately, then when they did score and were chasing the game, how many times did he give away the ball down the right-hand side? And that's not because he's a bad player. I think he's contributed more goals and assists out of any fullback since he's arrived in the Premier League. So he's clearly a good player, but it's down to fatigue. It's down to tiredness. And that's what it comes down to. But Jack, if he was to start today, how do you think that will go down with the fan base? One's of similar opinion to you. Porro needs a rest.
That's why I kind of alluded to the Antonio Conte kind of type situation. I think it will go down similar, where people will be probably in the immediate situation quite upset with Ange because it doesn't make a lot of sense to them. And then they'll also start to point fingers at whether, this is a Levy situation, Levy forcing a manager to keep someone around that he really doesn't want to use, which we've been there before. And again, I only have sympathy for Jet Spence if that's the case, but he does, I feel like, need to use him at some point. If he, let's say, starts with Porro, my only hope is that he then takes off Porro at some stage, or at least gives Spence minutes. It just feels like he needs to be given minutes, but I'm not too sure if that's going to happen. He seems to really just, enjoy, I guess, getting as much juice out of the Pedro Porro squeeze as he can, as well as Destiny Udogie. And it's in my opinion, I think it's come back to hurt us. The constant use of players that probably are around their red levels, around their absolute limit when it comes to, how much they've been playing.
No, 100%. And you know what?
I just think it will go down like Conte did. You remember how it was, just people be really upset in the chat, but I don't know how deep it really went other than that. It's not like you sacked the manager over, Jed Spence, really.
I think if he comes out and picks up an injury due to the amount of minutes he's played, I think it's going to go down like an absolute lead balloon, because every fan will sit there and go, well, we could see that coming. How could you not? So I think it would go down like a lead balloon. But, Conte didn't exactly, or sorry, not Conte, you keep putting him in my mind now, Jack, Postecoglou, he didn't exactly have glowing words or references for Jed Spence when asked about him in the press conference, So if anyone maybe has their theory to some of the words that Postecoglou had to say on them, please put them in the chat and we'll go through them, because, he didn't exactly have a glowing reference for him. But Dermot, what's your opinion on the fullback? Does it have to be changed tonight? And do you think we'll probably end up seeing Archie Gray over Jed Spence, and why? Because he does seem to prefer Archie Gray and put him out there.
I did a short video earlier on I put up on my channel, and I went with a back four of Jed Spence, Davies, Draxton and Archie Gray. I've dressed both fullbacks because they both look pretty knackered. Will I see that? Probably not. We probably will see Porro and Udogie again tonight, which for the life of me, I cannot understand why. I mean, if Ange can't see it, feck me, Stevie Wonder and Ray Charles can see it. They both need a rest. I don't know what he's got against Jed Spence. Maybe Jed Spence's attitude has changed from pre-season and the earlier part of the season where Ange was really giving him a lot of praise. You know, he's really changed it around. He's doing his best. He's training hard. But over the last couple of months, it seemed to have changed a little bit. So maybe he's not shown the right attitude in training. But for me, I would start with Jed Spence and Archie Gray. I know Archie Gray's not a fullback, but he's played well there, and Angie's used him there, and he seems quite comfortable there. So give the two. We've got Chelsea coming up on Sunday. Rest them. And as well with Romero, we don't know when Romero's coming back. So if Romero's back tonight or even on the bench, I'll keep him for Sunday too. So I think Ange needs to look at it and thinking, right, what's the bigger game? And the bigger game is Sunday. I think the back five will be good enough to beat Bournemouth tonight. On Sundays when we need our big players. So rest them tonight. I put in Jed Spence instead of Porro and Archie Grant Segi Yadogi. And that would be my two fullbacks. But will Ange do it? No. If he doesn't do it, then he's stubborn. Then he's not listening. He's not seeing what's in front of him. I'm not Ange out, by the way. I'm Ange in all the way, and I'll support Ange. I'd die on that hill with Ange Postecoglou.
You did just call him Stevie Wonder.
Well, no, I didn't call him Stevie Wonder. I said you would even Stevie Wonder and Ray Charles could see that Porro needs a rest. Probably I did actually, Jack. But I would die in that hill supporting Ange Postecoglou. But he's got to be less stubborn. He's got to be a bit more open-minded and a little bit more look at the bigger picture instead of saying, right, I'm going to throw it all in for this match. Then your players get tired out too quickly. But yeah.
Do you know what?
For the life. Sorry, go on, Dave. Sorry, I didn't interrupt you.
Sorry. I don't know if it's stubbornness. I think it comes down to every manager. Do you trust the player or not? If you don't trust the player, then you're not really going to put him out there. That doesn't mean it's absolute stubbornness. It just means he has no faith in the guy to go out there and be able to deliver. Despite that's maybe why he keeps putting these players out there. Does it make it right? No. If I was Postecoglou, I would use the likes of Jed Spence there, try and get him working to my benefit. But at the end of the day, if you don't have a trust in a player, you're never going to play him. We all play FIFA. We all play Football Manager. You don't like a player, you're not playing them. It's that simple. It's no different really to a certain degree. Now, I do want to just take a few comments. We're way behind. I want to welcome some people in, and then we're going to keep cracking on, guys. I want to welcome in Martin Knightsbridge. Great to see you, sir. Hopefully you're keeping well. We don't know what one's going to turn up. We were hoping your wisdom would be able to help us, today. But big up Martin, and he also comes in and says, I like the look of Gray, but at the moment, he's no Porro, and don't understand from what I've seen. I don't see why Spence isn't getting a look in. And look, the words yesterday coming out about Jed Spence, it does seem like he doesn't really trust him, despite Spence coming off the bench and having a massive impact, against Coventry and changing the course of that game. Because if we would have went out, there would have been absolutely uproar among the Spurs fan base because they do not like going out of cup competitions. So it's a bit weird, that one. I think, for me, if a player comes on and does that, and I don't think he would have that sort of impact, I would give him more. I would have given him more opportunities and turned to him a little bit more by now. But in fairness, he was supposed to come off the bench. Postecoglou did say that. He was supposed to come off the bench against Fulham. But then all of a sudden, he wanted to make different changes because of the 10 men. So let's see if he gets any minutes tonight. Even if Porro does start, you're going to have to bring Jed Spence off the bench. When it comes to Archie Gray, I really like what I've seen of Archie Gray in terms of in possession. It doesn't matter what area he's played on the pitch for Tottenham. He's been very, very good in possession. Looking at him, he's not fullback, and he's not a future fullback either. His future will be in midfield, whether that's as a 6 or whether that's as an 8 for me in future. And I also believe, Tottenham and Postecoglou has said the same, that they all see his future eventually, in midfield. So look, it'd be interesting to see what he does tonight, Martin Knightsbridge. But the Jed Spence one is a bit weird. It is what fans are questioning it, because he did look good pre-season as well, providing a lot of energy down that right hand side, some good link-up moves with some players within the team, and it looked like he wanted to try and get his Spurs career back on track. So look, all we can do is wait for more to come out about the situation, to be honest, Martin. But we could be throwing a firework tonight, and he could end up being the starting lineup, and everybody goes, and then all of a sudden, Dermo is not Stevie Wonder, he's Bono or something like that. But big up Martin Knightsbridge, really appreciate the support, brother. Hopefully you're keeping well out there in Spain. Michael G. Kelly, good to see you. Hopefully you're keeping well. Swim Master, great to see you. Donovan Oosterreicher, good to see you. Rooty too, as always, great to see you. Barbaric Disdain, great to see you as well. Hopefully you're keeping well. Del Boy, Derek Hutchinson, as always, good to see you. We have Iceman in the house. Good evening, Jack, Dave, Dermo, everyone in chat. Hope you're all good. Having a great week, and only a win tonight, nothing less. Come on, you Spurs. Big up, Iceman. Hopefully you're keeping well, and hopefully the young lad's still getting on well out in Spain. Big up, Carl Simpson. Hopefully you're keeping well, my man. We also have Kempton Spurs in the house. Checking in, Dave. No M25 tonight. Just about to exit the M3 en route to the game. Well, look, at least you're there on time tonight. You know, you might be able to have a hot chocolate and a hot dog or something like that, because it's going to be a cold night in them stands tonight, especially down on the south coast there, you know, with all that cold air coming off the sea. So make sure you wrap up warm, my man. Big up, Kiwi Spurs. It's always good to see you. We've got SOF in the house. Spurs have the capability to buy players for now and for the future. I'm not expecting 18-year-olds to be ready now, but our manager and Jordan told us they're ready, yet they don't get Premier League starts. No, look, absolute fair point. You know, to be fair, he has looked at Bergval in Europa League. He hasn't really kicked on from pre-season. Pre-season, he looked really good, but for whatever reason, it's not translating to Europa League. So it leaves him very little faith to start him and believe that he's going to have an impact in a Premier League game. In terms of Archie Gray, look, you would argue he's probably been the one that's come on with most appearances before Mikey Moore's illness. He was relying on him, you know, bringing him on in games and stuff like that. So I don't think that narrative is entirely true. He does use them. But look, you know, I've always said they're never all going to come in and start. You know, they will have to be patient and wait. They just have to take their minutes. But it's always good to have a couple of them around to try and snap at others' heels, SOF. Big yourself up. Good to see you in the house. We also have Psycho Teacher in the house. Good to see you. Hopefully you're keeping well, my man. And then I want to take this comment from Jay Player, because I think it's really unfair. And I actually think, you know, despite what I say, this guy is just, you know, sitting there like this. He says, big man, where's all the belief in the progress gone? Come clean your Ange out. And negative, for fuck's sake. All but Liverpool are consistent. Villa dropped off, yet no mentions. It's obvious you're Ange out. Be honest. Look, I was on Last Word on Spurs the other night. One of the biggest platforms out there. I said I was Ange, and I said we need to get this guy to Jam, and we need to back him. But someone like you chooses not to listen to and ignore that. All this season, I've said I don't think this is Ange's fault on my own channel, but they created the problem by not backing him properly in the summer. You choose to ignore that and not hear that. Just because I'm willing to have my beliefs challenged, I'm willing to speak to people that are Ange out, and I'm also willing to accept that despite I really do like Ange, and I think given time, he will be the right man to bring Tottenham on that path again. I am not naive to know that there are problems, and to be honest with you, I think it's good to speak about the problems. I'm not a snowflake. I don't have to pretend everything's great. Let's hold up the lighter in unison for Ange Postecoglou. I absolutely really like the guy, but I'm not going to sit here and pretend everything's okay either when it's not. I'm just honest, man. If you don't like that, that's on you. But to sit here and say I'm bluffing, I'm hiding this, that, and the other, and I'm Ange out when repeatedly, wherever I've been on whatever channel I've been, some of the biggest around the community, I've stated my opinion on Ange Postecoglou. I stated that the board didn't back him properly in the summer, you know, in terms of proper quality coming in here. But someone like you chooses not to believe that because I have one thing that I question or I bring up one negative. I'm sorry, but I'm not having that. That's absolutely foul play and bang out of order. And to be honest with you, John or Jay, you're getting a red card for that, my man. That's bang out of order. You just choose not to listen to what I have to say on the guy at all. Jack, do you want to say something on that before we move on?
I feel like we have to at this point. I don't really get it because it feels like we're getting a lot of these comments. I'm not sure where it's coming or where it's being inspired from, but we're getting a lot of comments of just people saying like, you guys are so effing negative. You know, you're always Ange out. I feel like we have to like scribble with crayon on our heads or something like that. And Jin, you know, as we make all of our, you know, chats and have all of our conversations here, because we've said probably a billion times, you know, in almost every stream that we are behind Ange Postecoglou, but we also are just regular people who will have normal conversations about whether there is pressure and whether, you know, other people feel differently and whether there is maybe some speculation if things are headed in the right direction. And to be honest, with the up and down nature of this team, it's not crazy to think that there will be people out there, there will be other Spurs fans that happen to feel slightly differently around the whole Ange situation. And they happen to be friends of this channel. So we're going to have conversations with them. But Dave and I have always, you know, maintained that we very much believe in Ange. And I feel like at this point, we have to just scribble it in marker or something, you know, on our screens or something like that for people to be able to see, because I don't really get it. It feels like you said, Dave, people just type it in, you know, almost as if it's some sort of, you know, agenda of, I don't get it. I don't really get it.
Can I just add something to this? Just to back you two off. Back you two up, actually. Look, I don't know any more two that are Ange in than the lads above me. I mean, I'm Angian, but them two are Angian all the way and have a right to call out when they see something's not right. Doesn't make a man shout. They're just voicing an opinion. These guys give up their free time to bring content for you guys. And 95 or 98% of the people on this channel love them for it and love how they bring it and love how they talk.
It's not going to be an echo chamber. It's not going to be. It never has been.
Exactly. And that's the point, mate. 2% sit with their fingers in their ears and they just don't listen. Then 2%, you got to listen. Dave and Jack are the most Angian people I know. But they will not go around bullshitting for the sake of bullshitting. They tell you how it is and how they see it. So for somebody to put a chat in like that, I think it's pretty damn well disrespectful. And actually, they should.
Do you know what? It's not even disrespectful. You're not even disrespectful. At the end of the day, you're entitled to your opinion. But when your opinion is based off ignoring absolutely everything I've said, wherever I've been on the manager, it just becomes a point where it's just deluded and not factually correct, actually.
Yeah.
But look, let's move on. I don't want to give him too much airtime. I just want to address that because I don't think it's quite fair. I just don't think you're listening, or you're only listening to what you want to hear and ignoring other things. Big up Donovan Oosterreicher with a super sticker. Jacko, do you know what it is?
He did a weight training emoji. He's gone for like a big barbell, basically, Dave. So maybe Donovan's heading to the gym after this game, or already is at it, as he's listening to the pre-match build-up. I was actually doing a little bit, since it's a later game now, Donovan, I was able to go to the gym a little bit earlier this morning, which was, a bit better vibes than usual, doing a lot later in the evening. Big up to you, my man. That's what he sent in, Dave.
No, big up, Donovan. Really appreciate the support, my man. But look, let's keep moving. Let's get on and talk a little bit about Jed Spence, guys. I want to know what's going on. Why do you think Postecoglou has been hesitant to use Jed Spence this season, despite his impact off the bench against Coventry, Jack, like you were alluding to?
Sorry, say the first part about like Jed Spence.
Why do you think Postecoglou has been hesitant to use Jed Spence? What do you think's going on? Try and put yourself in his position.
I have really no answers. It could be some regard to positioning. It could be regard to mentality, but at the same time, he showed a lot of praise to Jed Spence's mentality in the beginning of the season. In the preseason, he basically said, the guy, at one point could have had his career go a very different direction. He could have left the club, he said, but, he stuck around and he wanted to prove something. And he's, just been he basically said a changed man, he said in like the last few months, and then basically doesn't give him any shouts really at all, and was one of the best players during preseason. I don't really know what it could be, Dave. I mean, we just don't know. We don't really know anything behind the scenes or whatever could be going on. And maybe he just really enjoys, the tactical intelligence that he gets with Pedro Porro or something like that. I'm not really exactly sure. And he feels hesitant to use Jed Spence, because he's a different player. He's going to be a guy that likes to run it behind. He's going to be a guy that probably wants to get down the flanks, not really be an inverted type of fullback like Pedro Porro can be. But I'm not really too sure. I mean, I actually wish you could answer it, Dave, because all I've seen from Jed Spence has been good things. So that's where it's a little confusing. And this is why I likened it to the Antonio Conte situation, where I do wonder, despite Jed Spence's best efforts to try to get into the team, I do wonder if there is a bit of a, like some sort of disagreement there between owner and manager. The guy's just been kept around, and the manager didn't exactly really want him here for whatever reason that might be. And we don't know.
I think we're all sitting here scratching our heads, sort of just trying to make whatever from the situation from the outside in. Look, I don't want to go too much on about speculation. Like I said, I think we'll only ever really know once, Jed Spence probably leaves the club and then maybe does an interview somewhere. Dermot, just quickly, what's your thoughts on it? Why do you think he doesn't trust Jed Spence? Do you think it might have something to do with a lot of the rumours at Tottenham Hotspur beforehand under Conte, where, he lived close by to someone that was working at Tottenham when he was apparently partying and stuff like that, loud music at all hours and all that?
I think, look, we'll never know the full story. I think it's down to numbers, what they're seeing in training, what the trainers are reporting back to Ange. And it's a little bit like Dele Alli, wasn't it, under Mourinho, where he was saying to him, you're only a footballer for a short, when he gave him that pep talk. I think it might be the same thing with Jed Spence. I think he just thinks he's too big for his boots. He's gone to a bigger club. He's on more money. Why do I need to try? I think it's all just feedback from the trainers. It is a bit weird. It is scratching your head time. But look, only time will tell. I think you're right. I think once he leaves the club, we will know why. But it could be a case that the club want him around and Ange doesn't, like it was under Conte with some players. So if they're playing that trick again, well, we've been down that road. It don't work. It just sets disharmony within the squad. So it's a $24 million question. We could also sit here, the three of us,
speculate all evening. Yeah,
we could be here to New Year's Day and never come up with the right answer. So I think I don't know. I really don't know, Dave. I'm sorry, it's not the answer you probably wanted. But
no, do you know what? Do you know what? The only person I feel sorry for in this situation is actually Jed Spence, because his Tottenham career was doomed before it was over, and Postecoglou made them comments. Or not Postecoglou, Conte made them comments. His career has been, and whether Conte likes it or not, it's tarnished Jed Spence's name to a large degree. Even though Jed Spence may not have done something wrong. And do I blame Jed Spence for losing his head at a time when no matter what he's going to do, he can't get into the team? No, I bloody damn well do not. He's a young kid, and I would also lose my head if my Premier League dream was snatched from me, no matter what I tried to do about it, just because the manager doesn't like me. And I feel sorry for the guy, and he's come back. He's had a very good preseason. The Coventry game, he made an impact. Now, look, it could be a case. It's been known before. Players, they've had good preseasons, a couple of impacts here or there, but behind the scenes, they're just not pulling their weight. Could it be that case? We just do not know. But look, let's wait and see how the situation unfolds. And look, King Huddle, fair question, my man. I'll take this. Says Dave, serious question. No, if we accept that this is a long-term project and Ange, and we agree to abandon short-termism, what's the point of talking about must-win games? Because the reality is, Tottenham fans, we don't have the patience. A lot of them out there do not have the patience, and you gotta get results to keep people on board. You gotta get results to give something for people to get behind. If we lose today, all of a sudden you go down into 13th to the bottom half of the table. You've got Chelsea at the weekend. You take a terrible tank in there. I'm not naive to know that the writing's going to be on the wall, because the match day fans are already starting to turn on them. They were booing at the end of the game there last week. Yes, some can say it was towards the referee. Let's be brutally honest, it wasn't. They weren't happy with the result on the football pitch. The atmosphere is flat. And once the match day fans start making their voices heard, we all know what Daniel Levy's going to do. We all know what he's going to do. So that's why I say it's a must-win game in terms of trying to keep this project alive and, and stuff like that. Let me know your opinions on that regard. But look, guys, I do want to sort of move into the midfield, and let's talk a little bit about that. Jack, East Basuma is expected to remain in that number 6 role, that anchor role, but only two of Kulusevski, Maddison and Sarr can accompany him in the engine room. Who do you think it will be today?
He's obviously rested Kulusevski for this game. Kulusevski does do his best work, I think, through the midfield. It's tough for me because I think you should play Kulusevski through the middle, because I think we get the best version of Kulu there. And I think probably the team does end up probably having better games when he is playing through there. That being said, like, the toss-up is really more for me between Maddison and Johnson, really, because maybe Kulusevski can be shifted outright, but he can just try to come a bit more inside and can try to play still more centrally when he can. And because we had a really good, performance against Man City when we had Kulusevski play out there. And sometimes I think having just two really quality number 10 like players, Maddison and Kulusevski, bouncing off of each other, I think is really good for us. I think you can really try to generate more kind of clever attacks that way. And I think we end up finishing moves, I think, a bit more when we have those two together. It's hard for me, but Sarr is undroppable. Basuma, I guess, just sort of has to play in the number 6 role. He's the one that Ange Postecoglou will lean on. I think you do go for Kulusevski in the midfield, but for me, Dave, it's just, I'm really going to probably finish on Johnson, and that he's just a difficult player where he's going to score, but what else is he going to really offer other than that? Yeah, I know. Probably there's so many questions on that. So for me, Dave, I think you have to go with Kulu through the midfield, even though I will be really disappointed to probably see Maddison drop to the bench. I understand the criticisms around Maddison. I don't think he's played as well as I know he can, but I also don't think he's played as poorly as some people kind of say either. I think he's kind of in a little bit of that in-between kind of area for me, where he could definitely play better. He could step up a bit more, be more of that Dave Harris Maverick type midfielder for us, but it's just not really doing it on a consistent enough basis for me to defend him fully. But I prefer when it's Maddison and Kulusevski, to be honest, than than when it's Johnson, but I know that's another question. So sorry again for going
Mm.
into a little rabbit hole on that. But
No,
Sarr
look,
is undroppable. Sarr is undroppable. Kulu's undroppable.
No, look, by the way, big up, Yuri, Belgian Hotspur. Great to see you in the house. Hopefully you're enjoying yourself with your family, by the way. His mother looked absolutely delighted for him and all the kids to get back home. Brett Lockhead, great to see you. Hopefully you're keeping well. He says, hi, guys. Some people just don't have a clue I am man, Gene, but that doesn't mean I agree with everything he does. Absolutely fair, my man. Also, big up Kagase. Also good to see you, 5:05 a.m. in Melbourne. And then James Bell obviously comes in here with some clarity as well around the situation. It is one thing we've got to add. He has been injured for a part as well and hasn't been registered for the Europa League squad as well. So, a bit of context to it. Big up, Jason Bell. Really appreciate the support. DJ Samuel Jack has also thrown in a super sticker. Big up, DJ. Really appreciate the support, my man. Too kind. What's that, Jacko? Is that love hearts? Is he going happy clappy for today's game? What's he doing?
It says. Get good, it says. I think Spurs need to be getting
Maybe
good.
he's enjoying the stream. Maybe he's enjoying the stream. But big up, DJ. Really appreciate the support, lad. Absolute legend. Absolute legend.
Hopefully
really
you're enjoying the holiday season. Hopefully festive
Mm.
season around where you are in the Spurs area, DJ.
And look, at this expensive time of the year, so I really appreciate it, DJ Samuel. Absolute legend, my man. We'll leave that up there for a minute while carry on speaking. But, look, I think it's only fair that Maddison drops out today. Don't get me wrong. He was absolutely brilliant in the away game against Man City. But, this is the big problem with Maddison is the consistency. You sort of see performances up here and then some performances down there. And I would like him to have more impact on games. Don't get me wrong. I thought, set pieces were good, against Fulham to a large degree. But that's not enough to keep you in the team alone for this game. And I just think a game we get like Bournemouth where it is going to be a really sort of nitty-gritty game in that midfield, I think, and especially away from home to a large degree, I think you got to put Papamata Sarr in there. I don't think you can drop him. I think he's sort of indispensable to that midfield in terms of the attributes he brings, in terms of the unselfish running, breaking up a lot of play, and we've seen this season he can contribute then once he gets that play going forward. So I think all in all, I think you have to play Papamata Sarr in that midfield. And then it just comes down to, do you put Kulusevski out on the right-hand side, Dermo, or do you keep him in the middle and put James Maddison to the bench?
I drop James Maddison all day long. I go with Sarr, Basuma, and Kulu in the middle, and put Basuma as a number 6. James Maddison offers us nothing apart from his birthday game against Man City. But what else has he done? Can you tell me one other game where he's really outshone everyone else? The answer to that for me is nothing. Man City. Well, it's my birthday. I really put performance on here, lads. Now it's my 28th.
Don't get me wrong, Dan. All right, I do agree with Jack in terms of I don't think he's been dreadful this season or as bad as maybe he was last season. I do think there has been other good games, but my problem is they are very inconsistent. They're up and down. I don't want to get into realms that Maddison's been absolutely awful because I don't think he has. It's just that player that we see against Man City. I believe that's there every week if he got himself to that level.
Yeah, it's about keeping himself at that level. It's about producing that level every game. That's what you're supposed to do as a footballer. That's why he was brought to this football club, to produce that level every game. I just think you get more in that middle with Kulu. I think we look more effective, more creative with Kulu in that middle, and I think he looks more comfortable with Papa Sarr and Basuma in that midfield tree, or even with Bentancur when he's back. So I think I would push Maddison onto the wing. He played there for Leicester, I think on the left wing as well. But no harm just changing his position. But I do feel Kulu's been a better player. And it's just my opinion. It's just how I've seen games. And I just feel Kulu's offered us more than Maddison. But look,
the only thing I can add to it is I wonder if it's going to be like a more physical game with Bournemouth, or if it's going to be a more technical game where you can get away with playing Maddison and Kulusevski together. Like I said, that's what I have technically preferred this season. But what's really difficult about doing that is Sarr is just so undroppable right now. Basuma basically has to play. He has to play in the midfield. Sarr's undroppable. And that means one of Kulusevski or Maddison plays in the midfield. You probably go with Kulusevski as he's been the player of the season. I still do prefer the relationship that Madison and Kulusevski seem to strike with each other than I do really with sometimes having Johnson in the team. But that's where I think the struggle lies is for Madison, like Dave brought up, I think he's had a very up and down season where a couple of times I've said best Madison performance I've seen in a Spurs shirt. I've said that more than once this season. Then at the same time, we've also been asking for Madison to be pulled off in the 50th minute, because he wasn't doing anything like in a game. So it's just kind of been a bit of back and forth this year. And whereas with Sarr, maybe with Kulusevski, it's just been more kind of continuous praise throughout. And I don't know. It's just hard. I think Madison probably just sadly hasn't played as well as those two guys. So he struggles to get a spot into the team because there's only really 3 midfield positions available. And Kulusevski is taking up his, and then Sarr is basically taking up the other one that he could technically play in.
Look, for me, Madison can do it. That's the really frustrating part. Madison can turn a game on the head. He can be a man to come on or start a game and really switch it up. He'd done it at Leicester time and time again against us. How many times did he turn up against us and really play a blinder? We've seen him do it against Man City. It's about consistency. It's about doing that every game. That's what we want from him. And I'd never liked 2 10s in the midfield, Jack. And I understand what you're saying. I've always liked at 6 and 8 and the 10. That's for me, it's more balanced midfield. But do you know what? For tonight, for once, I may actually agree with you on that one when Madison and Kulu in the midfield. I think tonight may be the night to play 2 10s.
Is it going to be a more physical game, do you think, Dave, or more like technical game against Bournemouth? Because I wonder if you can get away with playing Kulu and Madison together, because then you're basically just trying to match them up with more technical players against their technical players. They don't strike me as like a team that's going to necessarily bully us.
No, look, at home, Bournemouth do like to press on teams. Now, whether that's the same for us, I'm not quite so sure. But, when I've watched their games at home, they do press up on teams. And, if I take myself back to last year on the Postecoglou down at their place, I know we won, but I think they gave us a right good go. And I think they came at us, didn't really show us any respect and pressed us. So I expect them to do the same here again. So there is an argument. Do you put James Maddison in there for like what he done against Man City so that you can't get him on the ball in a deeper position to find them balls out, into the forward players? But you could argue that's what he was in there to do against Fulham, and he didn't do it. And I think if he's not going to do it at home, despite him being rested against Roma to have that impact, I think he's let Postecoglou down. And if I'm the manager, what do you keep doing? Do you keep playing him out there amongst a bad spell of form, or do you try and put him in and out of the team until the penny drops and he gets it? For me, I wouldn't take the risk going up against Bournemouth tonight. I think you've got to put Papa Sarr in there. I think it's one of them games tonight because it's such a tight pitch, very like Selhurst Park. And we all know what Crystal Palace done to us on that tight pitch. It's not a game where we're gonna be able to play a load of sort of football. So I do think you are going to need to mix it up in that midfield. And I think on that basis, I think you have to go with Papa Sarr because I think they're going to do exactly what Crystal Palace tried to do to us. So let's see if we have the answers to that. Just quickly, big up 24Z. Really hope you enjoyed yourself at your first time at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium last week. You said the north lower right behind the goal was an amazing. Do you know what? The north is good, and the away fans sort of beside you. It's not good when you're losing games. You're not getting the result you're supposed to get because they are absolutely loving their life. And, there's nothing worse. The South stand when you're winning is absolutely buzzing, but also the North stand when you're winning, when you can give it to the rival fans and they're just looking there all glum. Yeah, it's a great day out, my man. It is a great day out. Big up 24C and glad you enjoyed yourself. An absolute legend. But everybody, I do want to take, we take this from Shem Tam, member for 7 months, at Ange out, at Dave in, at Jack in, at Dermo for DOF. Come on, you Spurs. To be honest with you, I'd switch Dermo and Jack. I think we'd put Jack into the DOF. This guy watches the Croatian league, onto the whatever other league you think of, the Andorran league, stuff like that, So I think we'd have to put Jack in the DOF. I think I'll be manager and Dermo would be the sidekick. I think that's the combination we'd have, Shem. Let us know whether you agree with that. But big yourself up, my man. I really appreciate support. Let us know in the chat how you're feeling ahead of today's game. Absolute legend. And no kebab for me if we win tonight. No Indian either, because the takeaways will probably be closed by the time the game's finished. So, I'm probably just going to have soup and bread rolls tonight. Not an exciting shame. But you get out and get yourself a kebab, my man. Guys, we are going to give a little moment to give our sponsorship plug. No, very, very kind to us this season. They want to help only you fans out there be able to access and watch every single Spurs game possible this season. Because we're doubling up and playing in twice as many competitions across Europe, you need plenty of different sort of streaming services to be able to watch all the games. Oh, my internet's a little crazy. Jack, I'll leave you.
Yeah, I was going to say, Dave, it's kind of hard to hear it, fully. But what I think Dave was, doing, he was, excellently, doing what I have kind of pointed out with the NordVPN. Just makes your footballing life a whole lot easier. You do need a VPN if you want to save yourself some money whenever you're watching Spurs, they're on all these different channels nowadays. Doesn't really feel like, you can get it all in one package. You have to kind of shop here. You got to go there. And what you can do to save yourself some bucks, especially now that we're towards the spendy part of the year, towards the holiday season, you're spending on all your loved ones. Maybe try to save some money. Grab yourself a VPN. Use our code FLATCAP over at nordvpn.com. It's at the top of the chat there, the part that says exclusive NordVPN deal. Use that code FLATCAP. Grab yourself a NordVPN account, get a 2-year plan, get 4 extra months free, and then you just get to make your Spurs life a lot easier, save some money. You can, pick up a streaming service from the USA, maybe from some other countries, also guarantee that you're able to watch each and every single Spurs game. And then that way, you don't have to go any dodgy websites or anything like that, which can happen to people on a game day when maybe you realize that you don't have anything available to you. And then last and certainly not least, what I have discovered is you actually want to have it on just pretty much at all times, just in case, you log on into any public Wi-Fi's or any time in which basically your data can be stolen from you. A VPN actually really helps basically sort of secure things that way and keep everything a lot harder to basically access to your phone or to whatever data that you might have out there. So thanks to NordVPN, and please everybody use that code FLATCAP pinned at the top of the chat there. And I think we're going to keep this conversation rolling. I just, Dave was doing an excellent job there actually on the plug there. Just, I think the audio was kind of just going in and out. So just for the sake of them, good to have Eugene back with us. Eugene, fresh back from the meeting. Jack,
I'm back. Work is done. Now I can focus on, football.
Focus on the football, indeed. I was going to pick up the conversation, off of where, Dave was there, but like I said, he did an excellent job, I thought, on the plug there, and I had to steal his excellent line. Dave, I was saying, your line was brilliant. I had to steal your excellent intro there, but unfortunately, just the audio was kind of just going in and out on it a little bit. Donovan Osterreicher with a super chat saying, my first competitive goal and 2 assists last night. Come on, you Spurs. Davo, what do you say to Donovan in a time like this? If you're his manager, if you're the guy, you tell him to celebrate, you tell him to, he did put in the weight emoji earlier. It looks like Donovan just straight to the gym after, getting a nice goal and a 2 assists as well. He's just gone serious. He's not messing around.
To be honest with you,
celebrating, no beers or anything. He's straight to the gym afterwards.
No, look, if I'm Donovan, I sort of retrace my steps all week. What did I do? What did I eat? How did I behave? What sort of training did I go through that led to this sort of performance? And keep envisioning it every single week that you're going to have that impact, keep doing the right things. And, it'll only lead to good things, Donovan. So that's exactly what I'd be doing. Big up, absolute legend. And keep it going, Donovan. You're absolutely smashing it, my man. Absolutely smashing it. But guys, let's keep it moving. I think we'll move on from the midfield now and we'll sort of move into the front line. And I do want to have a bit of a conversation around Brennan Johnson, and I want to try and get onto Son if we can. And then lastly onto Dom Solanke, actually. But Eugene, we'll start with you, bring you straight back into it, my man. Really appreciate the commitment as well, by the way. But Brennan Johnson found the back of the net for Spurs yet again at the weekend, marking his 10th goal of the season across all competitions, but actually leaves him our club's top goal scorer. Despite this, he continues to face criticism from the fan base, with many questioning his overall contribution beyond the single decisive moment. In your opinion, is this criticism fair or is it misplaced, given the primary aim of the game is to score goals? And look, some would argue he's doing that.
I think it's fair. So, I think he's definitely stepping up. He's the only player who I can consistently count on to score us a goal, or at least I expect him to score, which is great. However, even though he's technically an inside forward, so his job is to score goals in the system, we need the work rate of our wingers to be high to help out Porro and Udogie. So even though offensively Johnson is stepping up, he's always in the right place where, when he needs to be. He's not doing enough on the defensive end. There is no excuse for him. He's young. He should have the legs. He should have the engine. We need him to help out Porro, just given the way we play. So whether it's too much to ask from him or not, we're just asking, or personally, I'm just asking for effort, right? Do what you do on offense, that's great, but just give us some more effort on the way back. When Kulu plays on the right, he always tracks back. He always gives us effort. I'm not saying that Johnson can do the same thing. He's limited physically, but at least show some effort. Don't just stand in the final third and just look at Porro getting beat every single time. We need him to track back.
Do you know what? I definitely agree with that. I mean, how many times have we seen images of him standing like that when another position team has scored, and everyone's looking at him like, "Well, move, Johnson," And look, don't get me wrong. Did I rate him coming into this season? No. Has he maybe sort of proved me wrong in terms of his goal scoring ability? Probably yes. But I still question, like you and like Jack. So we're going to bring Dermot in here because Dermot does protest to be his biggest fan. So we're going to have to see him defend him here. I still agree with the boys though, Dermot, that when it comes to Brennan Johnson, outside of one contribution every game, outside one sort of kick, his overall contribution to games do be left to be desired. Now, I know you'll probably make the argument that he scores goals, but people compare it to Gareth Bale. Gareth Bale, he scored goals, he assisted goals, he took players on, he beat them, he skinned them alive. He's exciting to watch. With Brennan Johnson, he only does one part of the criteria that's needed of a winger, Darmo.
Yeah, well, I think that's the important thing you've got to do. You've got to be there to bang them in. When the crosses go in the box, if your striker's not there, your wingers have got to be there. Brennan Johnson's there. Brennan Johnson's banging them in. Look, we've got to look at Brennan Johnson as a forward player, maybe a striker. Maybe that's where Brennan Johnson's future does lie. Maybe it doesn't lie in the wing. Brennan Johnson has proved he is very good in front of goal and taking goals as well. So club top goal scorer this season. He is all the goals he's taken. He's been there. He's been in the box, and I did as well. I did compare Johnson with a new version of Gareth Bale. I did at the start of the season. I said it last season. He's the new Bale, but it's the new Bale in scoring goals and in being around the box. Look, I'm not gonna sit here and being totally deluded and saying his defense is great. It's not. His tracking back's damn well awful. But I rather Johnson up the pitch than at the back. So put him as a striker. Put him as use him as Dom Solanke's backup.
Can I jump in real quick?
Yeah, okay. Yeah. No,
yeah,
okay.
Just if Derm, I agree with you. But however, if Johnson is being used as a second striker, which is fair, then it's on Ange to tweak the system a bit so Porro is not on an island every single time. We cannot play with two strikers and Porro is there on his own, especially without Van der Ven and Romero. We cannot just have him isolated. That's my issue. Either it's the tactics or the work rate from Johnson.
It's nothing to do with the tactics. It's the work rate. But Dermot, I do want to follow up just quickly. Are we not guilty of entering, the realms of what we did with Son last year, where everyone told me he was a striker, and then 6-7 months into the season, everyone started screaming, "We need a striker." So, are we not entering the same realms with Brennan Johnson? Like, instead of just saying, "Oh, he does this. This is what he is." So it's not okay to sit there and go, "That's one side of the game. He's got nailed down." But in order to be a winger, which he's always been, you got to do more. You got to add assists. You got to be able to work back, help protect your fullback. Stop making excuses for the guy for not doing it.
Yeah, I see your point. I see where you're coming from. But I think he is a striker. I think he was a striker. He played up front for Nottingham Forest, I think, once or twice. So he can play in that position. Where Sonny's a little bit different. We all know Sonny was never a striker. Sonny is that man that plays off the front. Him and Harry Kane had a unique relationship where they can play off each other. And that's why Sonny was so successful, because Harry Kane dropped deep and Sonny played off Harry. And that's why that relationship was so special. With Johnson, he's got a bit of relationship with Werner. Every time Werner puts the ball in the box, who's there? Johnson. And I'm sorry, I think I'm not praising Werner, by the way, so I do think he's woeful. But I'm just pointing out that every time Werner puts the ball in, Johnson's there. So maybe there's a little bromance happening there. But look, I think Johnson is actually a better striker than Sonny. I think he'd be a better potential striker than Sonny. Sonny's not a striker. Sonny's a winger, or Sonny can play a little in the camera. He's not a striker. And I don't know why we keep persisting with this. Sonny on Sunday was woeful. He should have scored 2 goals. He should have scored after 50 seconds, and he could have found another. I don't know what's going on with him. Either it's confidence, either it's the contract that Tottenham are not activating his clause yet in his contract. Maybe he's got 1,000 things on his mind. But I just think Brennan Johnson would be a better bet up front than Sonny. And I would die in that hill as well. So I'm prepared to be slaughtered. Pardon?
I need the smelling salts. I can't believe what I'm hearing. You know, Brennan Johnson as a striker. It's absolutely madness. Look, Son's a striker. We learned the lessons harshly on that, despite everyone telling me he was. You know, and I'd argue he'd do much better up there than Johnson any day of the week. He's twice the player Johnson is. He does all assets of the game. I think, you know, we're entering around. Don't get me wrong. I agree with Keith Hoddle. Arriving in the box on time and finishing is a very underrated skill. It's not luck. And by all means, it's not luck. It's work done. It's timing. It's reading of the game. But it's okay to admit he's a winger. He's got to do more. You know, we see people, because what's going to happen is people are going to start complaining very, very soon about the lack of goals by Dom Solanke. But then once they do, then all the attention is going to go, okay, but do we actually create enough out wide? Then all the attention is going to go on other people. And he lacks. Anytime he gets the opportunity to deliver something for somebody else, he fails. But he is an expert on getting on the end of other people's moves. But I'm sorry, there's more to that as a footballer, especially if you're going to play in the wing, in a system. You can't just go, oh, that's what a striker does. Because I'm sorry, anyone that tells me Johnson's up front, if you don't think you have to work your nuts off up front, which you actually have to work more, by the way, because usually you're tending to have to press 2 centre-backs, sometimes the fullback and the goalkeeper, and it's absolutely aimless, by the way. You work your nuts off a lot more, and you have to be able to have the physicality side, hold up the ball, which Son lacked last year. We learned the hard way again with that. And if people think Johnson's going to have that, I mean, honestly, I don't know what sort of football you're watching. It's where I'm at with that. I think it's absolutely insane to say Johnson as a striker. But I think it's okay to acknowledge that he's got one side of the game down, but he needs to bring more as a winger. Jack, Eugene, we'll let you back in, Jack, and then we'll let Eugene in.
I mean, with Johnson, like we've said a million times, I think he has incredible ability to be at the right place at the right time, which does take a real unique skill and does have, you know, a lot of intelligence. You know, with that, you have to be a guy that somehow can sniff out where the ball is going to be before it's there. You have to see if there's going to be a mistake. You have to understand where the ball will end up in the box. And, you know, he's very good at that. Apart from his finishing and apart from his very good timing of his runs, he doesn't really offer a whole lot creatively. It doesn't feel like he does create enough chances for others. Doesn't really fancy taking on his man on a consistent basis like other players do. Doesn't really like to drive out his fullback, take it past them, try to create open space and put in a driven cross. Even when he does get into a crossing situation, if he does have time, he usually balloons it over everyone or just misses every target that is available to him in the box. His crossing skills really are questionable. And I just feel like Johnson is one of those guys that relies more on service coming his way than he really relies on creating service for others. And oftentimes you do have like 2 types of wingers. You have wingers that can score goals, wingers that play as that sort of inside forward that will end up being on the end of chances and can put them away, similar to a striker. Obviously, they're not doing the hold-up play like a striker does, but they can put away the chances like a striker can. But they're not really, I think, doing, in this case, of Johnson's case, they're not doing the creative side that also has to come with being a top winger. And that's my thing is with him is I don't really think he can end up being a real top elite level forward, or at least a winger in this system, if he doesn't learn to create more chances for others. Because sometimes when you're watching Solanke, it's just abysmal what's going on out wide. Just Johnson likes to pass it back to where it came from, doesn't look to take on his man, and doesn't look to really put in a cross. And even if he does, usually misses everybody. But he is good at taking his chances, and he is good at scoring goals. It kind of cuts both ways, but it'd be nice if he could do both, because we'd be a much better team.
I think his weaknesses are highlighted every time when we play a low block team. That's our issue, right? He's great on the counter where he uses his space, but against a low block team, none of our wingers can take on their man at this point, beat their man, and put in a good cross to Solanke. That's why we always struggle if teams park the bus. So when we play City or Villa or a team that plays also with a high line with possession, Johnson is great. He'll catch him on the counter. He's going to be there to score a tap in. Against the low block teams where we struggle, his skill set is an issue at this point. So we just need to have somebody else who we can put in on that wing to break down the low blocks. And if that's the case, Johnson would be a very valuable asset. But right now, when he has to play every single game against different types of teams, he really struggles in certain situations. That's my opinion.
And look, the thing is, I think against the big teams, I absolutely agree with you. Big teams that don't show us any respect, play the defensive high line, he'll absolutely mark all day long going in behind. Got to play. But I agree with you when it comes to the low block teams. When you need someone to be able to get on the ball, create half a yard, whip it in, he just cannot do it, like we've seen time and time again. DB also says, how many chances has Solanke missed? The wingers have provided nothing for him. Look, don't get me wrong. He had, half a chance against Man City. But let's be brutally honest, is creating half a chance against Man City good enough for your striker? Considering he's actually shown creativity, he's actually set up Johnson for goals this season and that. I'm not quite so sure. He had a half chance on 95 minutes against Ipswich. Is that good enough against Ipswich, creating a strike one opportunity? I'm not sure. And he had one chance against Roma as well. But over the course of 90 minutes, again, is it good enough? No, it's not. It's nowhere near good enough. And when you look at a lot of Dom Solanke's goals this season, actually a lot of them has been him following up on shots and getting the rebound. We don't actually create an awful lot for Dom Solanke whatsoever. Son is a winger that wants to cut in, doesn't want to cross the ball, wants to cut in and go onto his right foot and shoot. Johnson can't cross the ball, but comes in and reads and gets on the end of moves. So what player is out wide, putting balls in the box or anything in the box for Dom Solanke to go and get after? They don't, quite frank. And look, I think it's something that will get highlighted, very, very quickly, by media channels and stuff like that. But we don't actually create a lot for him. But DB, look, you're entitled to your point, my man. You're entitled to your point. Are the lineups?
Oh, yeah, sure. Let's check. No, isn't the game at 8:15?
Since
the game's at 8:15, yeah, wouldn't it be more at 7 when they come out?
Oh, 7, maybe 7. Yeah.
Let me check. Let me check.
I said, well done for killing me on my hill. You done very well. You done an assassination job like a ninja. You done brilliant. You came up. You came in very quickly like a ninja. Chopped me in like man. I don't know if anyone's seen that. The Monty Python when they were chopping the knight's arms and legs off, and he still keeps going. That's what Dave's just done to me, and I'm the knight still keep going.
No, I didn't, Darmo. I didn't. Look, you gave your opinion, and look, people agree with you in the chat, and I gave my opinion. I just worried, that we enter these things at Tottenham Hotspur. Last summer we were all blind. We all got carried away. Doesn't matter. Sell Son, sell Kane. Son's going to go up front. He's going to do absolutely everything. He's going to carry that can. And then every 6 months in, everyone was screaming for a striker. And I worry that you're going to end up doing the same with Brennan Johnson. People are going to go, he's top scorer, put him up front, but doesn't realise that you got to be able to sometimes hold up 2 6-foot-plus guys, hold up the ball, battle with them. There's a lot more to playing up front than just running in behind and tapping the ball in. There's a hell of a lot more to it. And I'm just worried that we're going to start making these stupid same mistakes again going forward instead of actually just addressing the problem. Brennan Johnson is a good asset to this Tottenham squad. Like I said, coming off the bench against low block teams or starting against the big teams that play high lines. But it's okay to recognize he either has to go and improve to be able to create, or we have to bring someone else in to play against low block teams that does have different attributes in terms of being able to cross the ball. I'm not here to murk anybody. I just want us to make the same mistakes like we did with Son.
No,
that's all.
I get that. And look, and one thing I like about Solanke is his work rate. He doesn't damn have work hard. He never stops from minute 1 to minute 90. He needs to be a bit more selfish, in my opinion. And, you know, be a bit more selfish as a striker would. But you cannot, you know, you have to compliment his work rate. He works damn hard. And maybe Brennan Johnson should look at Solanke at his work rate and take a little leaf out of his book. As somebody put it in the chat, you know, Gareth Bale was a left back. So he had that defensive mind stroke in his head. Johnson's not that way. So maybe that will come with time, Dave. Maybe that will come with experience as he learns the game more, as he plays more. But maybe he should be learning that already. Maybe he should be doing
For
that.
me, it comes with hunger, Darmo. For me, it comes with hunger. It's not being taught. It comes with hunger. If you have an innate desire to win, you already know you need to track back in games and you do it as hard as you can.
Yeah.
You already know, okay, I'm not good at this, but I need to go and add that to my game. A bit like Cristiano Ronaldo when he came to Man United. All he could do was run down the wing, cross a ball. But he developed over time because he has that innate hunger to go and win games. That will only come when the penny drops with Brennan Johnson. But he's young. Right now, he's just a young, early 20 guys, you know, enjoying his life. At some point, I'm hoping it drops. The problem is, hopefully, quicker than the better for us Tottenham fans. But look, let's keep it moving because I don't want to get bogged down on him. I do want to go on to Son because a lot of conversations around him. I just quickly want to take a few comments. Big up Johnny Stokes. Hopefully, you're keeping well. Off the road, out of the truck, nice and rested. Get yourself better in time for Christmas. Big up Kev Williams. Hopefully, you're keeping well. Good to see you around, sir. Big up Stevie Fraser. Hopefully you're keeping well. You're excused, my man. You do a lot of effort in that midfield. Deep lying role, breaking up play. And then big up DJ Samuel. Any cheeky bets, Dave, tonight? Look, for me, I would go over 3.5 goals. Midweek game. Both teams, you know, have goals in them. Both teams can concede goals as well. So for me, I go over 3.5 games or 3.5 goals. And then whatever way you want to lean on to win. That's what I would be doing, quite frank, tonight, DJ Samuel. But to be honest, Moondog is a lot better than me. So if he's in the chat, he might put one in for you. But big up DJ. And then we also have Jacob Anderson. I think this is a game where Decky has to score. He is top class at creating chances, but he needs to start adding more goals to his game. Thank you guys. Come on, you Spurs. Look, Jack, we'll hand this straight to you because Jacob is stringing straight off your hymn sheet. You must go to the same church, because this is something that you've actually said as well in terms of Kulusevski. All the other facets of his game are great, but like Johnson, you know, there's something that he needs to work on, and he has to add goals. And despite him being fantastic, it's important to recognize this, right? Because he has had opportunities, and maybe he's been to maybe pull the trigger and stuff like that, Jack.
I mean,
and
it feels
also
hard.
just a quick follow up. Also, today's game, how much of an impact do we expect him to have? Is he the guy we should be looking at to lead this team, given he was rested against Fulham for this game?
Yeah, I think the players that we wanted to step up in the last game, Sonny and Madison, who definitely did not, we're expecting that to more come from Kulusevski today. And he's been our best player this season by far. So he stepped up on multiple occasions. So we really do desperately need him to. And I think Ange Postecoglou, by resting him, has obviously felt a bit similar about that, you know, he really is expecting that Kulu is going to hopefully carry us through this one. To be honest, my opinion about Kulusevski not getting us actually enough goal contributions and enough goals, I do feel like it's an opinion I've held for a long time. It's probably not the most popular of opinions, especially since he definitely has been our best player this season. But if I were to be nitpicky about him, I do feel like he doesn't always put away maybe opportunities that are kind of come his way. Sometimes when Kulusevski is bearing down on goals, you know, you see him cut inside, you see him get that opening, and then he just seems to fire it off the defender, or he ends up kind of just hitting it, you know, straight into the goalkeeper. He ends up, in my opinion, sometimes overthinking even the chance where he could just go for a curler. He decides to go near post, try to catch the goalkeeper off. just doesn't really pull it off. And he's just a guy for me that I think is, he's incredible at creating chances and helping this team tick. He's very similar to Solanke, where he actually offers the physical side of the game when it comes to holding up the ball, carrying us up the pitch, all those important type of things that maybe go unnoticed. But if I were to be nitpicky about him, Jacob, I would agree with you. I don't think he sometimes adds enough goals to his game when he is in good attacking areas and good attacking positions. And it's something that he'll probably improve on over time. And he strikes the ball well. Like, we know he can. It's just that's the funny thing for me, is that I rate him that highly. So sometimes I do get a bit confused by why he doesn't end up scoring enough goals sometimes, in a season. Because he knows how to strike a ball. He's technically one of the best players in the team.
And I think many people many people would probably agree with that assessment, Jack, on Kulusevski. He's, to Martin Knightsbridge's point here, and big up Jacob Anderson, some longevity of support, my man. That's 3 years, if not longer. Absolute legend. Really appreciate it. And Martin Knightsbridge, following up on it, says Decky has improved his game, but if he adds goals on regular basis, he will be outstanding for us. And absolutely spot on. If you we've got to be consistent, right? If you're going to pull Johnson out for an area that he needs to improve, although he's impacting the team, it needs to be the same with Kulusevski. Absolutely spot on, boys. And then Alison Glover says he's not Messi. So maybe he's saying, look, we got to take him for what he is.
I said it was nitpicky. It's a nitpicky thing to say for someone who's been the best player this season. It is a nitpicky thing to say, but I completely agree with Jacob. And 34 months as an elite member as well, man. Absolute legend. Very, very, very generous of you. Really appreciate it. 3 years. Ridiculous.
Legend. Big up, Jacob. Really appreciate support, my man. Limp D says, in my opinion, Decky is the best player in the EPL to the point where I ordered his shirt. Absolutely love that. And then Shamu Van Moo says, I just ordered the 92 yellow away kit. That is a classic. Absolutely. It's a classic, my man. Enjoy that when that comes. Guys, I want to move on and have a quick conversation about Son until the lineups come out. But many fans are pointed to Son's age and suggesting that he may be past his prime. I know, Dermot, you were about to go a little bit off. Did you bring Son in earlier on? I can't remember. Maybe it was you. However, an article this week proposed that the issue might actually be that Son hasn't quite found another partnership as effective as the one that he's had with Harry Kane, in terms of, he doesn't have the guy that's on the same wavelength for him to be able to link up. Guys, what's your thoughts on this perspective? And whoever's dying to jump in at it, take it away.
I agree with what Ange said, but I don't want to go too long since I was just rambling earlier, but I agree with what Ange said. A lot of people have doubted Son before. How did that work out? He ended up finishing with 13, even on an off season, he finishes with 13 goals and 10 assists, right? And that's like an off season for him in by his standards. So I would argue that Sonny at one point probably will catch fire and he'll end up probably putting to bed, some of those doubts. Is he showing signs of age? Absolutely. I think, he doesn't necessarily have that same burst of pace every time, like it looks like he kind of saves up maybe like a supercharge or something at certain moments when he does feel like he can really run, very fast. Because we have seen it. We have seen that pace come out, from time to time, but he doesn't seem to show it on a regular basis. And then also when it kind of comes to the defensive side of things, I think he used to be a very strong presser, but this kind of season, you do kind of sometimes seem to see him sort of kind of, maybe reserve his energy a little bit. But I think that's fine with age. It's just more the chances that he's missed recently. Like, he's got to put those away. He really does. And if he does put those away, I don't even know if we are having these conversations of Sonny, being, past it or whatnot. But I don't want to ramble on too long. I agree with what Ange said in the press conference.
Look,
Eugene, you're going, Dermo? No, go on.
So, look, for me, Sonny's a legend. He's a club legend. He really is. And if anyone deserves a trophy, it's Sonny. He really does. And that in my mind, he will be a Tottenham legend of this generation. I think his age is catching up with him. It does to every player. Every player reaches that age, you lose a bit of pace, you lose a little bit of speed. But I think he's got to adapt his game to how he is now. Instead of trying to keep doing what he could do. Maybe all great players just adapt. Maybe just change the game a little bit. And maybe we will always see the best Sonny. Sonny is never let us down. He's captain. He leads our team by example. And I think we should show him some respect. But I think he's better on the wing than he is playing as a striker, personally. I think you get more out of Sonny on the wing. You get more effect out of him. And he's really missing the chemistry with Harry Kane. There's no doubt about that. Him and you look at all best double acts, Alan Gilzine, Jimmy Greaves. You look at Archibald Graf Crooks, you look at Teddy Sheringham and Chris Armstrong for a season, or Teddy Sheringham and Jurgen Klinsmann back in the 90s. You look at Harry Kane and Sonny. All great partnerships, all great forward partners. But I think he just needs to adapt his game a little bit. But for me, Sonny will always be a legend, and fair play to him. I think he's a great inspiration to every football fan out there, and every young footballer should look at Sonny and just say, "This is how you do it." And I can't praise him enough. Like Jack, I agree with everything Ange said in the press conference.
No, look, absolutely great praise for Son. Someone makes a good point in the chat there, though, Eugene, and big up Faz Radfire 4-1 Spurs on 3-0 win means top scoring team and second best defense. Yeah, that would be absolutely buzzing, change the narrative heading into the Chelsea game altogether, which is what we want, right? Ultimately, big up Faz Radfire. Look, let me know where you mustered the optimism for that 3-0 scoreline, my man, because we do concede a lot of goals, and we're in a tough time right now, but big up Faz. But Eugene, someone made a good point. Salah's the exact same age as Son, and I think he's been involved in 70% of Liverpool's goals this season. So are we making too much of Son is past it? He's too old.
I mean, everybody ages differently, right? So I don't want to be too negative. I love Sonny, but I see a couple of issues. At his best, when he played with Harry Kane, he used his pace to get behind the defenders, and Kane used to feed them those passes. Now that pace is gone, so I feel like Sonny is suffering from lack of confidence, perhaps, since he cannot use one of his best attributes anymore. And also, the second thing he did, he cut inside, and he used to take those curlers, those shots in the top corner. For some reason, he doesn't do it anymore. It could be that the midfield is crowded. He doesn't have space to operate. I'm not sure, but something is off. I don't know that he necessarily fits what Ange is trying to do. He's not going to hug the touchline and deliver that cross, right? He's not that winger. He's also like a forward. So I think there are multiple things. I think it's the tactics, and I think Sonny lost some confidence since he cannot use his pace anymore. So he definitely needs to adapt his game to what he can do right now. But I think it's up to Ange to figure out how to put him in the best positions to succeed. Because right now, I mean, we're all seeing Sonny miss those, easy chances that he never missed before in the past. Never. I just think it's confidence. And I think he's seeing that he's slowing down, and that affects the rest of his game.
Yeah. No, look, fair enough. It's a weird one with Sonny because to that point, you do look at Mo Salah. He is the same age, and he's still having a massive effect. I wonder, I've said this before, off the back of the last pre-season tour to Korea, he was absolutely bollocksed around this period and didn't come back. He was dropped from Conte's side in around this time, and I just think, maybe he takes on too much in the preseason, actually has a knock-on effect into the season. But he is out of the lineup tonight, so let's go through the starting lineup. Fraser Forster is in goals. Archie Gray comes in at right back for his first start in the Premier League this season for Tottenham, with Dragosin and Davies at centre back, with Adoji coming in at left back. Papamat, Basuma and Madison form the midfield, with Kulusevski off the left, you resume, Johnson off the right, with Dom Solanke down the middle, and Jack Name out the bench. No captains on the bench.
We have Austin, Pedro Porro, Spence, Reguilón makes the bench again. Spence is there as well, so we could see some fullback rotation, you would imagine, at some point. Bergvall is on the bench as well. Olasesi makes the bench there, Dave, the young lad. Timo Werner,
Callum,
Sonny, and then Will Lancashire, of course, as well. I'm actually interested in seeing Spence or Reguilón. Which one will get an opportunity tonight? Pedro Porro being rested, Sonny being rested. And this is the thing. I think Ange has honestly gone with a lineup that I'm actually pretty big approval of. I think Sonny probably did need a rest, especially if we're going to try to get the best out of him for the Chelsea game. And then I said to you, Dave, I do think we tend to play our better football when we have Madison and Kulusevski together, even though I think Kulusevski has been the best player for us this season. I think some of our better performances have come from when those guys get to play together. And if we're missing someone like Sonny, I think you need to have some more star power in the team. And we know Madison on his day can be that guy. So I actually really like this lineup. And then you can't drop Sarr, like I said. So this is an interesting one from Ange. The only worry is, Archie Gray, right? We've seen him defensively struggle in games at times. And Bournemouth, they do have some tricky wingers.
Well, they've got Tavernier and Milas Karkos, who have been brilliant overlapping each other down that side, this season. So, the warning is there. If it's Johnson out that side, get your bloody ass back and don't be lazy, because this kid is going to need you to step up and help him out. You're the senior now, even though you're only 22, 23. You're the senior now down that side, and you got to help Archie Gray. But look, I'm going to save my thoughts for the watch along, because I don't think anybody wants them twice. So we'll go back up to Eugene. We'll get your thoughts, Eugene, your score prediction, and then we'll end off with Dermot. What's your thoughts on the lineup, Eugene? Does it excite you? Do you think Ange has done the right thing here, or do you think he's done the wrong thing?
I don't know if I agree with Jack. I don't know if I'm overly happy with this lineup. Well, first of all, I want to see a Gray at a 6. I don't want to see him play right back, left back, center back. I would give Spence a chance and just put a Gray over Bissouma at the 6. That's what I would do personally. And then it looks like Johnson is going to be on the left. And usually when he was on the left, he didn't do too great. So we'll see. I'm a fan of Kulu also in the middle. Him on the right, he was good last time against City on the right, but usually he lacks the pace to be that winger. So I don't know. I'm a bit iffy on the lineup. I would put a Gray at the 6. I would put Spence on the right at the right back, and I'd bench Madison, but we'll see.
Okay. Interesting. So Eugene's not full of confidence heading into this game in terms of Archie Gray right back. And you know what? I think there's going to be a lot of people out there that maybe have that sort of doubts with him in terms of not just not him on the ball, but getting back in the line that we play and all. Sometimes he does struggle, so I understand that concern. Did we get a scoreline off you, Eugene?
I'll be optimistic. I'll say 2-1 Spurs.
2-1 Spurs. Absolutely love that. Well, look, let's wait and see if that happens. Eugene, thank you very much for your contribution today. Everybody is giving up time, and trying to fit this in around work. So please give him a round of applause and thank him for his commitment today to help make this show happen. Dermo, what's your thoughts on the lineup, score prediction? And I'll put your channel in here for people to get over.
Thank you. Look, I'm with Jack. I like this lineup. Just got to get behind the boys now. It's game time. No point for negativity. No point for saying we've got to get behind the boys. These are the 11 that are going to win the game tonight for us. I'm happy to see Archie Gray there. I would have liked to see Jed Spence actually given a go. But look, Ange has to trust in this 11. I'm getting behind the boys. It's time now to put away what happened against Fulham, and let's get behind the boys. I think he's doing right by resting a few players as well. Look, we may lose our faith in Spurs, but we will never lose our love for this club and this team and this manager, and we should always be behind them. I'm sticking with my 3-0 prediction I did in the predicted lineup. And listen, we're only 23 away from 2K, so I would love to get there before Christmas. I really would. So, yeah, if you can come over to, if you like what I've had to say, please come over to HFC to the day with myself, Colin, Tequila, and Carla over there. But yeah. I'm going for 3-0, 23 away, so please hit the like and subscribe on that channel. But do it here as well, because these guys give up a lot of their times to do shows as well. And I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for Dave and Jack, and a lot of people that have started channels as well wouldn't be here with these lads. So please do it here, then come over to me. Get me to 2K. You make me a very happy clapper. Christmas Day sitting at 2K. I really would love that. Thanks again, lads, for having me on. You're mute, Dave. Jack.
Thank you, Dermot. Dermotron, 23 away from being the peak happy clapper form. So please, everybody, show him some love. Over 360 people still left in the house. So please, everybody, follow over, show Dermatron some love. Let's get him over 2K by the end of the year, please, everybody. I think it would mean a lot to him, and he does a lot for us. You know, he makes this community, I think, very friendly, very special. He's a guy that everybody gets along with. I especially do. I know Dave does. And we would love it if you guys showed him some love, please. He wants to get just to that 2K mark. I think we can do that. Over 300 people in the house. Surely there's some people who maybe haven't hit that subscribe yet. So head on over to Dermos and smash the like button over here as well, please, if you haven't done so already. Really appreciate all the support today from so many people involved, to DJ Samuel, Martin Knightsbridge, Donna Vision, Dermatron earlier gifting out some memberships, Moondog, and Jacob Anderson celebrating the elite membership as well for so long. And Fazzy Radfar and Shemi Tan as well. Really appreciate you guys. But I think we have Dave back now. From what I can tell, he's clicking on those comments for me. Dave, final words from yourself, sir. Great job hosting.
Yeah, well, I was actually on real form today, but my internet keeps bloody crashing, and I don't know why. But I'm going to sort it out. You know,
You had
before
to
the
carry
watch
the
along,
internet.
so. Yeah, it's honestly the one day Dave actually has great words in his head. He's on form. He's getting all his speech out right. The internet wants to absolutely ruin me. But look, thank you for everybody for tuning in. I want to say a massive thank you again to Dermo and Eugene for giving up their time to come and be with us today for a cracking conversation. Thank you to everybody out there, you guys at home who have tuned in. We try and bring up as many comments as we can, so hopefully you guys appreciate that, just as we appreciate your time, and that's why we try and honor it by bringing them up. Massive thank you to everybody who has gone the extra mile as well. You know, none of us are funded by big wigs. We all take our own time out of our day to put all this together, do it, have these conversations and stuff like that. So the support is needed. So thank you very much, guys. And look, especially around the busy month, everyone's buying presents. Really, really appreciate it, guys. And guys, if you can, please smash a like on your way out. We'll see you back here at 7:45 for the watch long. We'll kick it off. I'll give my thoughts on the predicted lineup. We'll see you then. As always, come on, you Spurs. In the big hands we trust. Big night for them. And let's bloody go, baby.
Come on. Could be a huge win. Come on, you Spurs.
Come on, you boys in green. Sorry.